Welcome to our deep dive into the incredible world of the placebo effect. Today we're exploring the power of belief, like how it can heal the body even when the treatment itself is fake. We're going to be unpacking Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, You Are the Placebo, Making Your Mind Matter. And hopefully we can understand how thoughts, beliefs, and expectations, how they can impact our physical health.
It really is fascinating how powerful our minds can be. Sometimes they're even more impactful than traditional medicine.
So to start, Dispenza shares this story. It's about a man named Sam Long who was misdiagnosed. Back in the 1970s, he was diagnosed with terminal esophageal cancer, and sadly Long passed away within weeks, believing he was succumbing to the disease. But here's the thing. The autopsy showed that he never had cancer at all.
Yeah, this case really shows how important belief is. And it's not just some feel-good concept. Belief can have a real impact on your body. Like in Lund's case, the fact that he didn't believe in his recovery, that might have contributed to his decline. It's a scary thought. But then Dispenza talks about this woman. She was in an antidepressant drug trial, and she actually experienced a significant improvement. But she was on a placebo. And get this, EEG recordings show that her brainwave patterns actually changed. So it wasn't just in her head. Her brain was physically responding to her belief in the treatment.
It's wild. And it's not only positive expectations, there's also the nocebo effect. So negative expectations can lead to negative health outcomes. Like if you believe something will harm you, your body might actually start to show those symptoms.
So our minds are super powerful. They shape our reality for better or for worse.
Yeah.
I remember reading about this study where researchers replaced poison ivy. They replaced it with harmless leaves.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Dispenza mentions that one.
Yeah.
The people who thought they were touching poison ivy, they actually got rashes and started itching, even though there was no poison ivy. Makes you think. Like how much control do our minds have over our bodies? But let's switch gears for a second. Let's talk about Dr. Dispenza for a bit. He's not just writing about this stuff. He's had personal experience with the power of belief.
That's right. He actually had a really bad spinal fracture, and he decided to heal himself. He used visualization and mental imagery instead of traditional medical intervention. This experience is really what got him into the science of the placebo effect.
So he really put his beliefs to the test, and he walked away, literally, able to walk. That's amazing. But is the placebo effect as simple as just taking a sugar pill and thinking you'll feel better?
It's not that simple. It's way more than just sugar pills. The placebo effect has to do with all kinds of beliefs and rituals. It's tied to how our minds and bodies are connected and how our thoughts can trigger stuff to happen in our bodies.
So how long has this idea been around? It's not exactly a new concept.
Yeah, you got it. It's been around forever. You can see it in old practices like mesmerism and hypnotism. And it's still used in modern medical research today. The word placebo itself, it comes from a Latin word. It means I shall please.
So it's always been about making the patient feel better, even if the treatment itself doesn't actually do anything physically.
That's the idea. In fact, the modern way we understand the placebo effect, a lot of it comes from a doctor named Henry Beecher back in the 1950s. He was working during World War II. And he saw the effects of placebos on wounded soldiers. This led him to push for randomized controlled trials, where they use placebos to see how effective new drugs are.
But how can something like a fake surgery, how can that actually make someone better? I don't get it.
A doctor named Dr. Bruce Moseley, he did this study, and it showed exactly that. He did sham knee surgeries on patients. So they got incisions and everything, like they were having a real surgery. But there was no actual surgery. And these patients, they got better. Like the same amount as the people who had the real surgery. Their pain went down, they could move better, and they just felt better overall.
Hold on, are you saying the people who had fake surgery, they got the same benefits as the people who had the real surgery? How is that even possible?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It really shows how powerful our beliefs are and how they can change our bodies. Dispenza talks about three main things that drive the placebo response: conditioning, expectation, and meaning. These are the things that make it work.
Let's break those down, starting with conditioning. What does that even mean when we're talking about the placebo effect?
Well, think about when you have a headache and you take an aspirin. Every time you do that, your brain and body learn to connect taking a pill with feeling better. It's like they make a memory together.
So is it possible that our experiences with medicine, like even from when we were kids, could that affect how we respond to placebos when we're older?
That's a good question. It's definitely possible. Our bodies are always learning and changing. They're constantly connecting things in the world with how our bodies react. So it makes sense that our past experiences with medicine could change how we react to placebos, even if we don't realize it.
So interesting. Okay, what about expectation? That's the next thing on the list.
Expectation is all about thinking something specific is going to happen. Like when you really believe you're going to feel better, you're basically getting your brain and body ready for that. And this can trigger real changes in your body, changes that make you feel better.
So our minds are setting the stage, and our bodies follow. Okay, and what about meaning? How does that fit into the placebo response?
Meaning is how important something is to us. Like a treatment or a ritual, if it means a lot to us, it's more likely to work.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like if you really believe in a healing practice, you're more likely to benefit from it. Like your belief makes it stronger.
Exactly. And that's why placebos can be so effective. They often tap into our deepest beliefs, which creates a strong placebo response. And this brings up an interesting point about our subconscious mind and how it plays a part in all of this.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. It seems like our subconscious is running the show here.
Oh, it definitely is. Dispenza says our bodies are like our unconscious minds. They store all these memories and emotions that affect how we react and what we believe, even if we don't know it.
So basically our bodies are keeping track of everything.
Right, and that shapes how we respond to the world, including how we react to treatments and stuff. Dispenza calls it body as mind. He's saying that our thoughts and feelings can actually train our bodies to keep reacting the same way. It's like we're living out our subconscious beliefs, and they become real in our bodies.
That's heavy. It's like we're stuck in a loop. Our minds and bodies are feeding off each other. So how do we break free? How do we change those subconscious patterns?
That's where the science of change comes in. Neuroplasticity and epigenetics. These are the keys to understanding how we can change our minds and bodies.
Okay, I'm all ears. What's neuroplasticity?
Think of your brain like a map that's always changing. Neuroplasticity means you can make new paths on that map, so you can change how you think and feel. And even heal old wounds. It means your brain isn't set in stone. It's always adapting based on what happens to you and what you pay attention to.
So even if we're stuck in old patterns, neuroplasticity says we can rewire our brains and create new, healthier responses. What about epigenetics?
Epigenetics is super cool too. It shows us that genes aren't fixed. Things in our environment can switch them on or off, and more research is showing that this includes our thoughts and experiences.
Wait, so our thoughts can actually turn genes on and off? That's mind-blowing.
It might sound crazy, but that's what the research is showing. Dispenza talks about Norman Cousins. This guy used laughter to heal himself from a really bad disease. It was called ankylosing spondylitis.
Yeah.
And it's likely that he was accidentally activating epigenetic processes, like turning on genes that helped him heal and turning off the ones that were making him sick.
The story of Norman Cousins, it's such a powerful example of how much the mind can affect the body. This connection between the placebo effect and this cutting-edge science, it's pretty amazing.
It really is. And what's exciting is that it suggests we have way more control over our health than we used to think. It challenges the idea that we're just victims of our genes.
So if we change our minds, we can change our bodies. That brings us to some pretty remarkable stories. From Dr. Dispenza's workshops, he talks about people who have overcome crazy health problems just by using the power of their minds.
Absolutely. He tells the stories of people who reversed chronic illnesses and got better in ways that seem like miracles. These aren't just stories. They show that the power of belief and the human ability to heal are real.
I'm dying to hear more about these stories. What kind of transformations are we talking about?
Well, there's Lori. She healed from a rare bone disease that doctors said was incurable. And Candace, she reversed her multiple sclerosis. And John, he got back function after a really bad spinal cord injury. These are just a few examples of the amazing things that happen in the book.
These stories are almost hard to believe. What did all these people have in common? Like, what helped them get better?
They all believed that they could heal, they let go of their doubts, and they visualized what they wanted with total conviction. And they felt like they were already healed. They basically reprogrammed their minds and bodies to recover.
It's so inspiring to hear about these real-life examples. It makes you wonder, how can we tap into this power? Does Dispenza say how to do it?
He does, and he points to meditation.
Okay, now it's getting good. So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about quieting your mind.
Yeah.
Getting away from those busy beta brainwaves and going into those more receptive alpha and theta states.
Exactly. Those deeper states of consciousness. They seem to make us more open to suggestion, more open to change. And Dispenza says that in these states, we can start to tap into something called the quantum field. This is a place where anything is possible.
Wait, what? Quantum field? That sounds pretty out there.
I know it's a lot to take in, but don't worry, we'll get into that. We'll talk about the quantum field and what it means for healing in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, listeners, Stay with us. We're just getting started with our exploration of the placebo effect and the power we all have to create a new reality.
It's going to be good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into You Are the Placebo. So before the break, we were talking about meditation and how it could help us get to those deeper parts of our minds, the places where our beliefs and expectations hang out.
Right. And you had that question about the quantum field, that realm of infinite possibilities.
Yeah, I got to admit, this whole quantum field thing is a little out there for me. It's not exactly something we deal with every day. But Dispenza seems to think it's important for understanding how the placebo effect really works.
It's a big concept for sure, but it's getting a lot of attention in science these days. Basically, the quantum field is the idea that there's this underlying field of energy and information that connects everything in the universe.
So instead of seeing everything as separate, it's more like we're all part of this big web of energy.
That's it. And within this quantum field, anything is possible. It's like a sea of potential.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. But how does this connect to the placebo effect and our ability to heal?
Well, Dispenza says that. Through deep meditation, we can connect to this quantum field and actually influence those possibilities. Instead of being limited by our past experiences and beliefs, which are kind of stuck in a material way of thinking, we can tap into this field where anything can happen.
So we're not just changing our thoughts, we're shifting our whole consciousness to a completely new level.
That's the idea. It's about going beyond what we know, what's familiar and predictable, and stepping into a realm where anything is possible.
It sounds kind of like science fiction. But I guess science is always catching up to fiction. But I'm still not sure how our thoughts can have that much power over something as fundamental as the quantum field.
That's a good point. Remember that double slit experiment in quantum physics? It showed that just by observing something, we can actually change how subatomic particles behave.
Oh, yeah. That experiment showed that particles could act like waves when no one was watching. But as soon as someone measured them, or even just observed them, they started acting like particles, like our awareness changed them.
Exactly. That's why the double slit experiment is so important. It suggests that consciousness isn't just watching, it's actually involved in creating reality.
So if our consciousness can do that, just by looking at subatomic particles, does that mean we can use our thoughts and energy to heal ourselves? Or even create a whole new reality?
That's exactly what Dispenza is saying. It's about training our minds to be more focused, more intentional, about how we direct our energy.
And he thinks meditation is the key to doing that.
Meditation is crucial. It helps us quiet all the noise in our heads, all those thoughts and worries that keep us stuck in our old patterns.
It's like silencing that inner critic and finding that peaceful place inside where we're more open to change.
Exactly. When we get into those deeper brainwave states, like alpha and theta waves, we become more suggestible, less limited by our old ways of thinking. And in this state, we can start to rewrite those subconscious programs, those deep-seated beliefs that have been shaping our reality.
So to be clear, if we combine meditation with a strong intention and really believe in what we want, we can actually change the quantum field. And make real changes in our lives, even heal our bodies.
That's the idea. And Dispenza backs it up with lots of examples in the book.
Right. Those stories of people who healed from incurable diseases. Lori, Candace, and John. They decided to change their lives. And then they used their minds, boosted by meditation, to make those changes happen in their bodies.
They changed their thoughts, their beliefs, and their emotions. They imagined what they wanted with so much clarity and conviction that their bodies actually responded.
Yeah. It's amazing that we have this power to heal ourselves, but we often get in our own way with doubts and negative thoughts. But how do we actually put this into practice? Does Dispenza tell us how?
He does, and this is where it gets really interesting. He gives us specific meditation techniques that can help us tap into this potential. He doesn't just talk about it. He gives you the tools to actually do it.
Okay, so for everyone who's ready to explore this more and learn those meditation techniques, stay tuned. We'll be back with the final part of our deep dive into You Are the Placebo, where we'll find out how to harness this power and use it for ourselves.
Welcome back to our deep dive into You Are the Placebo. So we've been talking about the science of the placebo effect and the fascinating quantum field. We've even heard some amazing real-life stories of healing.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey, but I'm really excited to get to the practical stuff. How can we actually use this information to change our lives?
That's what we're going to talk about now. It's one thing to understand the power of the mind and the quantum field, But actually using that power, that's where the real magic happens.
And that's where Dr. Dispenza's meditation techniques come in, right?
Yeah.
He gives us actual tools, bridge the gap between theory and practice.
Exactly. He provides a framework for changing our state of being, reprogramming our subconscious minds, and ultimately becoming supernatural.
Supernatural. Okay, now I'm really interested. What does he mean by that?
He's talking about reaching a level of awareness and potential that goes beyond our normal everyday experience. It's about tapping into those deeper levels of consciousness where we can create new possibilities for healing, for abundance, and even for overcoming limitations we thought were impossible to break.
So it's about going beyond our current reality and stepping into a new one. But how do we do that? It all sounds a little overwhelming.
It might sound like a big leap, but Dispenza breaks it down into steps we can take. He says it starts with a clear decision to change, a decision made with so much intention and energy that it overrides those old programs running in your subconscious and the emotional patterns that might be holding you back.
Like a total shift in consciousness, a break from the past.
Exactly. It's about committing to a new reality with everything you've got. And once you've made that decision, it's about fully experiencing the outcome you want, feeling it as if it's already happened.
So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about feeling the emotions that go with that desired reality. Right now,
that's right. Dispenza calls this creating a new internal state that matches your desired outcome. It means changing your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions to align with that new reality.
So you're essentially becoming the placebo. You're creating that healing energy.
Yeah.
And transforming your body from the inside out.
Exactly. And this is where meditation is so powerful. It helps quiet the mind and move beyond all that constant thinking into a state of deep presence and openness.
That state where you're open to new possibilities and connected to that unlimited potential we talked about earlier.
Exactly. And in the book, Dispenza gives us specific techniques for getting into these deeper brainwave states, for visualizing what we want, and for feeling that new reality.
So it's combining ancient practices
like meditation and visualization with modern science. He's grounding these old ideas in the latest discoveries in neuroscience and quantum physics.
And that's what makes his approach so interesting. He's bridging the gap between ancient wisdom and modern science, showing us that we can heal and transform our lives. This whole deep dive has been incredible. It's changed how I think about reality and the power of the mind and the amazing potential we all have.
It's been an amazing exploration, and this is just the beginning. Dispenza's book has so much more to offer, insights, stories, and practical techniques to help you tap into this power.
So to everyone listening, if you're interested in becoming the placebo and using the power of your mind for healing and transformation, I highly recommend checking out You Are the Placebo and try these techniques for yourself.
It's a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Who knows what amazing things you might find?
Absolutely. And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of what you think is possible. You truly are the placebo. Believe it, embody it, and watch your reality transform.